Excellent. Welcome, everyone. How are you? I hope you guys are having an incredible day. Welcome to Self Love Sundays. So today we have a beautiful program. We're going to be discussing the final law of the universe from our series as we are discussing the law of unconditional love. So we're going to take a look at the different aspects of unconditional love and essentially how do we embody unconditional love? Give me just a moment to update. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and post this. Please feel free to share this live. If you are tuning in and you find value in this, please remember to subscribe and do share with your friends and family if they feel in alignment with the information being shared. So the concept of unconditional love is actually a it's the most important. And I almost want to say, in regards to unconditional love being at the essence, at the core of the work that we are doing here as human citizens participating in a hologram of co-creation. Okay, let me make sure my volume is up and you can hear me okay. Because essentially, when we are embodying this entire human experience, one of the things that we are learning to embody is essentially the ability to become one. We are going from the separation back into the embodiment of the union with the collective. And the process of that reunification is the process of the embodiment of unconditional love. That is the most important thing that we want to understand. Now, the concept of unconditional love is actually the most difficult concept to embody. And the unconditional love is not an emotion. It is a state of being. It's an architectural structure in the bioarchitecture of our body. It is a force field. Okay. And the force field of unconditional love is essentially the output of a centripetal spin that allows the human body to become one with y'all. The embodiment of becoming one with the all allows this fractal to be able to access the infinite fractals of itself as it's expressed in all of its fractalizations. This is part of the ascension process of the human as it begins to understand itself. How does this tiny little fractal begin to see itself as the all? The process of that embodiment requires us to, first of all, be able to hold space deeply for our shadows. Not only the shadows that we are experiencing in the external world, but the shadows that we have within. Because what we discover, actually, when you do this work, is that all of the shadows that we see externally, that we are perceiving, judging, looking at, are a direct reflection of the shadows that you hold inside of you. Okay? And the shadows that we hold inside of us are essentially a couple layers. Let's talk about those layers. The first layer is the programming perceptions that we have created from the womb until the age of 7. All of the ways that we have learned to love and all of the ways that we have learned not to love. And a very important saying that I want to share with you that I heard very early on in, I think, 2002, but essentially changed my entire perception of my process, my spiritual process. It was a powerful lesson, just this simple words that allowed me to understand beyond the limitation of the way I was looking at love. And it was the saying that allowed me to question what love actually was. And this saying is, the love you withhold is the suffering you experience lifetime to lifetime. This saying is profound, because if you really begin to review this understanding, well, first of all, what does it mean to withhold love? What does the opposite of not withholding love actually look like? And how does one feel safe in loving at that level all things around us? So essentially, the process of embodying this state of being where we do not withhold love is the entire process that I had to learn, and we all are learning in this life. This question led me to question what exactly did it mean to love? It no longer means just a romantic partner. It no longer means this idea of union. It goes beyond relational love. Now we are talking about the self as an individual, seeing itself as something more, as all potentially. So the questions that began that journey of trying to understand what love was, because all of the great masters in this universe, in this world, talk about love as being the key to accessing this information. So how do we access that love from where we are at? Deeply, deeply separate from our source, deeply separate from ourselves and the connection with our truth, okay? So essentially, what we are going to discover is that in order to build unconditional love, to cultivate, it's a cultivation. It is a cultivation of our multidimensional body. It is a cultivation of our nervous system. It is a cultivation of our emotions, the biochemical systems that are running in the back end. It is a cultivation of that. And that is a cultivation of our perceptions, okay? So all of the memories that we have in the muscles and in the nervous system to respond to certain experiences trigger these chain reactions in all of these areas of our body. And essentially, each one of these areas in the body are essentially contributing to the way that our multidimensional body is spinning, expressing itself, essentially, how the architecture of our body is existing in the process of co-creation with the greater whole. So what we begin to discover, essentially, is that unconditional love is a state of being. And the embodiment of that cultivation is the melting away, the thinning of the veils between yourself and the illusions of separation. The thinning of the veils of yourself and the illusion of separation requires the individual to essentially train themselves to become all and nothing simultaneously. This is why unconditional love is the key to the unification, reunification. This is why white light and source is the white light that holds within it all the spectrum of colors, everything from the darkest color into the highest vibrational frequency color. We are holding that energy. So essentially what we want to understand is how then do we hold such powerful space in the circumstances of our everyday life that continue to solidify the ideas of separation. And this law of the universe is something that can free us. But if we continue to fall asleep back into the illusion of separation, we become separate again and again and again. And the love you withhold is the suffering you carry lifetime to lifetime. Again, this is not the repercussions of the withholding of that love, means the embodiment of separation and the embodiment of judgment towards something out external to you. So our life now becomes our purpose. If you are here to enjoy the experience of reunification with Source is one of reunifying all of the little parts of you that continue to see something outside of you as the separate, okay, as the other. So that in itself, in this meditation that we're going to do today, we're going to begin to learn how to hold space for the deep shadows of ourselves that cause triggers, separations, judgments. And we're going to learn how to create a strong foundation to be able to work with the nervous system, the emotions, in order to hold space for those fluctuations. Okay? This is one of the most powerful practices that you can do, because what happens on the other side of that is that you are cultivating a kind of spiritual clarity and strength that really allows the human to sustain a light, to anchor Source through their body, and essentially become that beacon of light that affects the collective. So let's talk a little bit about the mechanics of unconditional love and what exactly that looks like. Okay. Hello, everybody in the chat. Thank you so much for joining me. It is such an honor to be here. Hello, Jzen, JB. Welcome, Pono, Joyce, Mark, Hart, Daria, Jzen. So great to see you guys. How is your Sunday? How is your week going? Please don't forget to put your questions in capital letters if you have any questions that you want to ask. And also, I would be very happy to address any prior questions from other classes, because I think there were some questions from other classes that people also were asking. So please feel free to ask those questions as well. Let me go ahead and open my PowerPoint here because I want to share with you. Let's talk about the different layers of the embodiment of unconditional love. We're going to talk about the psychology. We're going to talk about the embodiment in the physical body. And then we're going to talk about what it looks like in interaction in your everyday life. Okay, so let me go ahead and open that up. And hold on a second. Great presentation. Right, here we go. All right, everyone. So today we're going to talk about the law of unconditional love. Okay. Now, first of all, we want to remember that when we are embodying into the physical realm, we are actually experiencing separation. Okay. So why we are here in this holographic matrix, remember that the nature of this existence is a hologram. Okay. The way the architectural structure of this system is a hologram. So what does that mean? That means that there is an origin point from which all is projected. And that origin point is intention. Okay? The origin point of all the holographic experiences that we are experiencing are intention, not only in the multiverse. Source is the original origin of that intention in the multiverse, in the greater whole. And we are the origin of the intention in our physical everyday lives. The intention for our existence, the intention for our life purpose, the intention for all that we are here to experience is the vibrational signature that you are, that has been created at the time of conception. So the moment that the semen and the egg united to create that spark of life, that powerful spark of life that is encoded with a photograph of the universe, of all cosmic energies, is an intentional vibrational frequency. The universe is experiencing through you, not the universe, the multiverse, and then the source. Okay, so the source and universes, and the way that we see the construct of this universe is through our filter. But in reality, the way that it really essentially looks like is spheres within spheres that play a role in how information is fractalized. The source essentially is experiencing through all things. Source is infinite potential. It is all things. It is the deepest, darkest shadows, and it's the highest lights. It is unity, separation, and everything in between that we are not even familiar with, that we don't even know. The power of this is that we have the opportunity to experience infinite potential. And because of the nature of this hologram, remember that the hologram is a projection created by the source with the intention to experience. And the intention to experience is defined by the laws of the dimension in which it manifests. So this three-dimensional layer in which we exist, in this fractal, you, me, Geraldine, this fractal, you, your fractal, has a unique vibrational frequency to experience something. And what you are experiencing is unique based on the family, the ancestral lineage that you have been born into, based on the intention of the source as it is expressed in the intention to become whole again. All manifestations of source eventually become whole again. Why? Because the architecture of this multiverse is designed in spiral-like motions, spiral-like toroidal fields, which are a spiral pathway. The spiral pathways of energy of all living life force takes the spiral form, which means that all things are experienced through cyclical patterns. And we actually talked about that in our earlier programs when we talked about the embodiment of this infinite potential and how it projects that massive amounts of information down to the cellular molecular level. So as this infinite potential coils, it is a spiral motion. So everything in this multiverse, in the three-dimensional overlay of experience, is essentially always going to go through a separation phase and then a reunification phase. This is very powerful information to know. And the reason why is because any experience that we have in the deepest shadow will always have an opposite expression that is equally in its depth. So if it's the lowest shadow, this individual, by the structure of its experience, also has the ability to experience the same in its highest expression, in the opposite highest expression. And this tells us about experiences of suffering that we might have. So when we have experiences that cause us suffering, because everything is cyclical, one thing that can help the human wake up consciousness when it's choosing to experience suffering and separation is that everything is cyclical and it has the ability to experience the opposite at any given time. It is the intention, and remember, you are the creator of the intention that holographically projects into your field, into your experience, what you're going to experience. And you can turn it around in one instant. And the mind wants to interfere in that process. The survival mechanism wants to interfere in that process severely. It wants to put reasons analysis, and it wants to put reasons why it's not a good idea to leave that space and go into the opposite frequency. Now, when I talk about frequency, it's not just your thoughts or ideas. Intention, I guess we have to get very clear about what intention is. Intention is an entire vibrational frequency of your body. It's an architectural structure of your body. Remember Dr. Emoto's work, in which water crystallizes in order to create certain geometric forms. Now, the way that we function, essentially, because we are made up of water, because we are a geometric expression, which is the holographic expression of your DNA, and the amount of information that is either active or contracted in your genetic information brings into your subconscious mind available data that you output into your experiences and project into your everyday life experiences. So essentially, if you vibrate at the vibrational frequency of survival, then your entire construct and your geometry will match that vibrational frequency, in which the body can only move in certain directions and at certain heightened levels of information. However, it means that at any time, if you understand the way that your body functions, bioelectrically, biochemically, and architecturally, geometrically, you can shift. And of course, all of these things are just side effects of integration. Okay, so the human that integrates its understanding of its separation into wholeness automatically expresses, automatically embodies these geometric shapes. The nervous system comes back into self-regulation, okay, a regulated nervous system. And essentially the biochemical processes that are responding to survival change into a homeostasis. And the power of that shift in your physical body has many benefits. Number one, when you begin to shift the body, the organs of the body literally start to heal. Why? Because this vibrational frequency, as a result of your intention, as a result of integration from separation into unity, let me clarify that, from survival into love, into unity, okay, into harmonious balance, okay? So the opposite of survival is harmony, peace, and balance. And this is something that the organism has to choose intentionally, embody consciously. What does it mean to choose something consciously? Biophysically, it is the coherence, it is the connection of the mind, the emotions, and the actions, the body. All those three sections of the body have to be coherent. And then the output of that coherence into the action of your life is essentially the alchemical marriage. Okay, so the alchemical marriage is the embodiment of unification. And unification has many layers. We go from the deepest internal cellular level of the body where you create harmony at the cellular level. Okay, all the organs are happy, joyful. All of the organs are working in a harmonious balance, right? All of the systems of the body are working. Your emotions are acknowledged. Nothing is in resistance. We are not in resistance in our emotional body. We are not in resistance in the nervous system. We're not in resistance in the muscles that contract as a result of the nervous system. And our thoughts and our emotions are congruent so that we are fluid in the present moment without resistance. You cannot be in the present moment coherent and integrated if you are in resistance to what you are experiencing. Resistance causes severe amounts of chaos in your physical body. Bioelectrically, causing negative charges in your body that take your entire organism, excuse me, out of balance. Okay. Drinking a little water there. And chemically in the body, the resistance creates massive amounts of stress hormones, fears, anxieties that essentially really take a toll in the internal organs. They affect your hormonal system, both men and women. And what happens biologically to the human that is in resistance of this present moment, they experience profound levels of separation. And that profound level of separation feels like abandonment. Essentially, what is happening is that the individual is abandoning itself in that moment. It is embodying the separation process. Once again, it is reliving the birth canal where it becomes separate from its source. When we are born, we go through the birth canal, and it is such a violent and severe process in which we leave the safety and comfort and the known, everything that is known inside of the mother's womb, we experience it into separation, okay? And we become separate from the mother. It is the first physical manifestation of the separation from the source. The mother represents that source. The mother represents unconditional love. Remember that the truths of the universe are encoded in a fractal form within all things in nature, okay? So we originate from the mother, from the womb, that represents the source, that represents the subconscious mind, that represents all of that creative life force. In the same way that we separate from the source, which is that white light, we are coming from that infinite potential into this manifestation of a temporary physical experience, a fractal of that infinite potential. So the embodiment of this dualistic manifestation in the physical experience is a violent process that humans experience that immediately create, it immediately brings into play. And of course, at the time of birth, the emotions that are experienced create even a deeper filter of our perception of life experiences. Okay. So essentially, the way that our mother felt at the time of giving birth, it could have been a young mother that was fearful and insecure about her ability to be a mother, for example, creates a filter of vibrational frequency. Remember, emotions are information. They are the crystallized form of information that is being experienced as an environment. And so all of the emotions of the mother in the womb are infused at the cellular level of our bodies. all of the emotions of father are infused at the cellular level of our body. Okay, the father represents the manifestation, putting into action, movement. Okay, so essentially, this process that we are experiencing is a fractal of we experience when we separate from source in order to become the fractal that you are now in this physical body. Hanja, Anita, Maria, Jay, Doug, Mimo, John, Lars, Lewis, all of you are this fractal of source, which means that you hold within you the entire infinite potential memory codes in your body through your DNA. The temporary experience of birthing into this physical fractal in order to experience reunification to your mother source is essentially the weaving of all of the parts of you that have become separate through the fractalizations in all dimensional levels of what you exist in. And it's important to understand this because when we start excavating our emotional layers of ourselves, we begin to find the roots of who we are embedded in the lineages of our ancestors. The ancestral lineages of our families that inherit within us the belief systems and the programs, the filters of perception, of separation that we are learning how to work through are exactly what we need to know and what we need to become familiar with in order to return to that oneness. You cannot be unconditionally loving if you do not know yourself. This is something that is incredibly important for you to understand. Unconditional love is absolutely not a theory. It's not an emotion. It's not a thought. It is the reunification of yourself with all your parts in congruency, in coherence. This is why we have to be able to look at how we are embodying this source. So we will meet these fractals, okay, in your meditation. Some of you see parts of you of past lives, future lives, but more importantly, the fractals of those lives and those experiences are embedded in your everyday emotions. And this is what I want to stress in today's conversation. If you want to train yourself to embody unconditional love, start with your present moment in your physical body right here, right now. What is the love that you are withholding? And because you are the center of this entire multiverse, you are the center. You are the intention that projects into the hologram, the intention to experience everything that you're experiencing. It has to start right here in this physical vessel. The emotions that you feel, the thoughts that you have, and everything that you resist is the key to access unconditional love. Now, unconditional love is the ability to see all things as a part of yourself. Okay? So when we think of the bum or the poor drug addict on the corner, we begin to judge that individual. How is he irresponsible? How did he become homeless? How did he choose to do drugs? We have all kinds of emotional responses to that based on our upbringing, based on where we come from, based on our understanding of ourselves. We begin to judge that. And what this individual will begin to identify when they start doing the shadow work is they're going to have to face their own deep desires for escapism, for example, into drugs. their own deep desires into letting things fall apart, their own deep desires into judgment of themselves, their own deep desires in programs of unworthiness. They're going to have to face those head on. And it's through those facing of those difficult shadow parts of us that will reunify him, this individual that is judging the let's say the drug addict on the street. This is just an example. Into seeing reflections of his own self there within that part, within that person, within that individual. Where it's the same thing with seeing a person that abuses children. And this is one of the most powerful parts of this process of embodying unconditional love that I invite you guys to dive into, okay? Because I will share powerful experiences that I see in my meditation classes with my clients, in DNA reprogrammings that we're doing during the weeks, working with individuals that have been sexually abused, that have abusers in their lives. You know, how we hold so much suffering and pain in our body as a result of the actions of others in our lives, especially when we're children, because we have an expectation as a human to be protected. When we come into this planet, into this earth, we have an expectation for the mother to play the mother role that she's supposed to play. And those expectations that we have within us, it's very important to understand where they come from. There are certain conditions that we have with our relationships. From the mother role, we as infants, separating from the source, from the comfort of that womb in which we are safe and protected, have an expectation designed in our biology that the source from which we separate will be the provider of all our needs. And we forget that. This is very important. The source is always the provider of our needs. Why? Because you're not separate from the source. You are the source. And we are learning that by being the daughter or the son of a mother and a father. That is the fractal of the model of this universe and how it manifests the hologram in order to experience infinite potential. So you essentially, from the moment you are born, separating from your own mother, are learning to become your own source. You are learning to become a source yourself. You must embody the fractal design that is encoded within your DNA as it manifests in spiral form, okay? So the source creates all of these fractals of manifestation of life force, everything from alien beings in the highest dimensions to the draconians, to the reptilians, the grays, down to the humans, down to interdimensional organisms, down to the cellular molecular quantum field of something, of all, is all fractal manifestations that have the opportunity to become source, to become their own source. That is what we are here to do. And the embodiment of becoming your source, becoming a source, is the embodiment of unconditional love. Because love is the most powerful primordial creative life force that exists. When you become source, you now become a creator. Just the way your mother created you in the womb. She became a creator. Biologically, we are designed. And as a father, when the father gives the seed, it becomes the creator. It is the creator. That seed is infused with the intention of the father at whatever level of creation that father and mother is at. they infuse that into the offspring, the child that is being created. This is why creation is so important to understand. How do we create? It is the profound subconscious intentions. And the only way you're going to know your intention is by knowing yourself. Okay? So if you are a product of programming, of indoctrination, of the belief systems of separation, your level of creation will only reach those levels of mechanistic expression, right? There's a process to your creation, and you can only create to the level of which you are in separation. I go back to that saying, the love you withhold is the suffering you carry lifetime to lifetime. How many lifetimes have you existed in this state of separation in which you're playing out power games with yourself and the other? You're playing out control programs. You're playing out the protection. You're playing out the victim, the one that is always in survival, the one that is always helpless, the one that something is always being done to, but never has power. How many lifetimes? And remember that your lifetimes are the ancestors, the lifetimes of the ancestors. Your ancestors are fractals of you, and you are the fractals of your ancestors. Because again, you are one. You are one. So as a collective, you have encoded in your DNA the history of where we have been playing out these separation expressions, the embodiment of separation. How do we reunify? How do we reunify is by shifting all of the layers that hinder you as you go up this chart, as you go up the ladder, as you ascend back into the unity consciousness. And you become different things, okay? Remember the archetypes? The archetypal overlay of what we are is one layer in which we are transcending, which means that we are learning how to love unconditionally in all of these layers, okay? First of all, let's start here. Personality, okay? Your personality is a survival mechanism. That means that your personality is designed to keep you alive in all of the experiences that you have experienced in life that have created an understanding of what it means to live. And your level of understanding of how to live is a product of the amount of survival that you've had to experience in your life. So essentially, if your life is a life of absolute survival, if you had a terrible family circle in which there was a lot of suffering, a lot of judgment, a lot of abuse, for example, your ability to perceive the world as something safe, as something peaceful, will be a difficult one to access. It'll be challenging because all you know is that suffering. So what we need to do when we are in these states of duality, again, we are healing all the parts of ourselves, psychologically, emotionally, physically, mentally, that maintain us in the illusion of separation. And what we need to understand very quickly is the concept of illusion. It is very difficult to heal if you don't understand the concept of illusion. All experiences, all life experiences are an illusion. Because of the nature of this hologram, they are a projection of the intention of all the participants, all the players that play a role in the life experiences. Remember that you are not Geraldine in the experience that she's having. You are source. You are infinite potential experiencing that traumatic experience. And when you realize that, because remember, we fall asleep when we're born. And what it means to fall asleep is that you forget. At the time that you go through the 0 point of the birth canal, at the time that you go to the 0 point of the inception of the seed and the egg, we go through many 0 points before manifestation takes place, charged with the intention of that creation. Okay? At the time of the inception, there was an intention. The intention is whatever is necessary for the mother and father to experience as a result of the child that's being born. Every child that is born is encoded with information that allows the human to be challenged by the lessons of the child. Okay, so mother and father are challenged by the lessons of the child, because the child is a manifestation of all of their shadows and their lights. Essentially, it will trigger a lot. It will trigger the parent to see themselves in all of the darkest manifestations. It will highlight, it will reflect, it will directly mirror for the parent all the parts of themselves that they have not resolved. And it will be manifested in the beautiful child that is in front of them. Okay? And essentially, what that dynamic is holding is the opportunity to become whole again. When you have a child and you haven't integrated these traumas of yourself, okay, you pass on the trauma into the child, and you have to heal 2 layers of separation. Your own, and then you have to hold space for the child. Okay, so it's more of a challenge. You fractalize yourself even more. Remember the intention of creation. So if you heal yourself fully, and the intention of creating another organism comes from a 0 point, okay, what you're going to anchor into this universe is a biochemical, bioelectrical, geometric infusion of that 0 point as a fractal. Okay, and just the way source has an intention to experience your kind of life with your traumas, your experiences, all the things that you have gone through, there is a divine meaning, a divine intention for your creation that is a puzzle piece to the collective. Because now we have to look at ourselves as our brothers and sisters that have been born essentially on this earth. You and I are brothers and sisters on this earth. Essentially, all of our family members are equals to us in this reunification process. Okay, so again, the illusion that we are separate from our family members, from our neighbors, from our the city that we live in, from all of the community, from all of this world and the human race is an illusion because we are one. And this is not just an imaginary concept. This is embedded in our DNA. In our DNA, just 2,000 years ago, you and me, a person that I haven't met yet, we have a relative in common. We are related to one another genetically. Okay, so in that genetic history of what we are, and all humans come from an origin point on this planet Earth, the human race, means that we are, again, this conception of life that is here to experience all of the programs that Mother Earth can hold within her laws of physics, within her architectural structure that from then manifested the matrix, which is all of the laws of all the things that we experience that have now become compartmentalized into the world that we are co-creating today. But we don't remember that we're co-creating this earth together. The earth is a hologram of all of our collective intentions to experience. So any of you that believe that we live in a horrible world with so much destruction and famine and separation and suffering, you created that. At the time of your inception, you helped co-create. You designed the matrix with your vibrational frequency, and the many lives that you have lived in this world, in this dimensional layer of this one timeline of this world. So if we want to change the world, we need to change the separation within us, change the separation and go beyond the illusion of separation with those around us, family, friends, loved ones, community, because in the physics of this universe, remember that even humans come together through resonance. We choose the neighborhoods that we're going to live by resonance. If you interview every single person on your block, you're going to find so much in common. And I'm not just saying like, oh, I like to play golf. Me too. I like to play. I'm talking about, I have an imbalanced masculine perception of life. Therefore, I overcompensate with the feminine. Okay, you have these couples that are holding these imbalanced perceptions with one another and maintaining, these relationships. You're going to find that everyone on the block has similar programs. When you come together in a stadium to see a singer sing, all of those individuals that are there are meeting by resonance. And it's very powerful, because the intention that all of those individuals came to experience there has a vibrational frequency. When meditators come together, it's the same way. The intention of the pop artist can be to indoctrinate and to program into its listeners ideas of separation, starvation of intimacy and connection, lack of love, lust, desires, hunger for something. And we feel that in the lyrics of the music being sung, in the vibrational frequency of the sound being created, and every human that came to participate in that is being infused with that information within them. And then they go out into the world, right? Into their perspective, families and circles. Why do we know this to be true? Because when people begin to fall out of resonance, chaos ensues. Change is necessary, okay? So the moment that we begin to become, the moment that resonance starts to change, we begin to experience separation again. Okay, our friends and our partners start to fall apart because we're no longer in resonance. Families cannot stay together. So separation from mother and father, the individual that played the father role, the individual that played the mother role, now becomes another human equal to us, experiencing this ascension process of the experience of separation back into unification. We are all, there's a saying, we are all walking each other home. Okay, well, I don't believe there is a home unless you think of source, which is existing within all things. Okay, we are all reunifying ourselves with the source. We are all waking up that dormant state into the understanding that we are a source. We are all becoming a source. Therefore, eventually, in this healing process of unconditional love, in order to be able to transcend the traumas of your immediate family, which are the strongest ones. The strongest traumas are the ones that we have with our families. They're the ones that create the strongest filters of perceptions, and they're the ones that create the resonance, that create all of the leading experiences that you have, consequential experiences that you have in your life. Your partnerships, the careers that you choose, the people that you work with are all a product of the traumas of your childhood. And they're deeply subconscious because they're encoded in your vibrational frequency. So in order to be able to overcome the traumas of childhood, we have to mature as this fractal that's separated from the source in order to become its own source. Okay. that now no longer falls for the illusion of perception that this matrix has created. The concept of families is created by the matrix. It is a model of nature. It is a model of that fractal design of this multiverse, but it doesn't mean what we think it means. We have created social structures and we have attached social structures, social ideas to this manifestation of nature, but we haven't really understood what it means. Okay, the divine feminine and masculine that is embodied within the fractal of the mother and the father is essentially we are learning how to balance the feminine and masculine creative life forces within us as we become a source. So the role of the mother and the father is in order to help us carry out the experience that we have created in many lifetimes simultaneously, that it has infused into this lifetime as an experience. So all of the lifetimes that you're experiencing simultaneously that are in resonance with this lifetime are the ones that you're going to have most access to. Okay? Because you are infinite potential. So of course, we see through the human filter these lifetimes, but you'll notice that when you revisit past lives in past life regression, you will begin to recognize, oh, I had the same problem. My mother was a boyfriend of mine or was my husband, and I had the same challenge. I wasn't able to feel protected, for example. Okay. And so that same role play that happened in that experience is now occurring in your current lifetime, but reversed. Okay. And so the roles that they played are just a manifestation of feminine imbalanced or masculine imbalanced. And that is the representation of the mother and the father. We are learning from them the imbalances of the feminine and masculine in order to rebalance that within us. Okay, so all of the wounded feminine and wounded masculine traits that both father and mother embodied are essentially what we are learning to heal within us in order to become whole again. The alchemical marriage is the healing of the wounded feminine and masculine energy. The marriage is between the feminine and masculine energies between us, the creative life forces within us. Question from Ayola. Is it possible to remain connected with people who are no longer in resonance as we heal our traumas, or is it necessary to disconnect? Can our new expansion help shift the rest of the family to remain in connection? So remember, we are one. We are one. This is a law of the universe. There is no separation, whether you like it or not. What there is intention in a relationship. And because your resonance speaks, the internal shadow work that you do for yourself will automatically take you where you need to go. And this is where we begin to understand having a symbiotic relationship with our universe. You are absolutely in charge of your creation. You are in charge of the quality of relationships that you have or don't have. You create your life. If you want a life of unification and holding yourself connected to your whole family, you can do that. But you have to become your own source. And that means that your expectations and conditions that you have in the exchanges with these individuals have to also be at that level of source, which means that all the trauma has been neutralized in order for your exchanges not to be imbalanced. When trauma is not healed, it's not neutralized, So we continue playing subconsciously the same energy receiving and giving patterns that we have programmed within us as a result of the traumas we've experienced with that person, with that individual. So in order to maintain relationships with the person we're healing with, whether it's mother or father, brother, sister, whatever family member it is, individual or not family member, if you have transcended the trauma, you will no longer be triggered by the things that this individual plays out. Like, absolutely not. Like, literally, your nervous system will not be in survival mode. If when you are in the presence of this individual and you begin to contract your your muscles, you come into anxiety, you have butterflies in your stomach, you have a knot in your throat, that's a very unhealthy state to be in. So it means you have not transcended your trauma and you are playing out the same reactionary biochemical, bioelectrical charges within the morphogenetic field that bring the two of you in resonance. And trust me, the resonance will reunify you if the agreement is to transcend it together. If you do the shadow work internally, your discernment will lead you to make decisions that are most in alignment and unconditionally loving for yourself, whatever that is. It doesn't mean that you're going to have a happy family unified with everyone, and it doesn't mean that you're going to live separate alone from any and everyone. You have to see what is in harmony with your organism. And it's up to you, essentially, okay? It depends on the master you have over your body. And in order for that mastery to take place, usually separation is required. Because depending on the level of trauma, sometimes we cannot see ourselves outside of ourselves. We are so, because all we know is being in survival mode, it'll be difficult for you to separate yourself from something other than survival mode if you're in survival mode all day long, constantly, right? So that won't allow you to embody something outside of that. So in those cases, I suggest to separate yourself from those scenarios that are causing you suffering. And, you know, again, the illusion of separation, it's an illusion. Even the idea that we're separating from someone is an illusion. You can stop talking to someone for 5, 6, 7 years, doesn't mean you're separate from them. You are still one with them. In fact, what I find in my DNA reprogrammings is something that people find horrifying, which is the following. Because we are so deeply connected, and because, especially in family circles, we are a product of each other's conditioning, more likely than not, even when people try to run away and live 500,000 miles away from each other on the other side of the world in Timbuktu, this individual is playing out and repeating the same patterns that they judged or they didn't like in the person that they're trying to get away from. This is how it works. This is how the mirroring works in these subconscious programs. And we discover we have become the mother that we judged and has abused us so much. We have become the father. Why? It doesn't mean that we're behaving the same way. Let's say it was an abusive father. It doesn't mean that you're going to go hit everything, hit everyone around you. You're going to start hitting everyone around you like your father did. It means that the same subconscious belief systems that allowed him to behave that way, let's say it's profound insecurity and unworthiness that made the father violent. You are a product of that, and you play that profound insecurity and unworthiness in your life, and therefore you are the same as your father. Please understand What matters is the intention of your existence. What you are projecting into the hologram is what matters. You can be an individual that goes out and feeds the homeless every Sunday. You can be the most selfless person in the world that looks like you live a life of service to others. That can be a direct product of the same unworthiness that the father was playing out in order to create violence in his house. That is actually what you have been created to experience the transcendence of. It's not the cosmetic external actions that we live in this matrix that change who we are at the fundamental core. The fundamental core of who you are your subconscious programs that are infusing into this world your actions. And the world is a product of those actions. So this is why there is a responsibility for each individual to wake up consciousness if they want to. If you are a person that wants to affect change in this world, you now give yourself a responsibility that you have to hold yourself accountable for everything that you are in your expression. You can't work for a company that cleans up garbage in this world if you internally create a lot of chaos in the world around you, inside of you. Okay, so this is why this understanding these profound levels of this universe are so important, because we essentially call ourselves out on our own participation of suffering in the greater whole. How can you embody unconditional love when within you, you are holding these patterns of separation? So unconditional love is attained in the following. Once you heal your perceptions of suffering and separation within you internally from these first family cores, and then you have to, so let's go back to the personality, right? So we talked about personality. Okay, so where else do we have to reunify into unconditional love? Okay, so now the personality becomes dissolved because the personality was the survival mechanism of childhood trauma. Now we have to reunify what we are not. Okay, so now you know what you are not. Now you know, now you have to understand what you are. And this is where you start to face the process of the ego. You begin to learn the process of the ego as the I, as the self. Ego is just, is simply, it's the necessary fractalization. Without the ego, we essentially would be, a blob of energy, non-manifested into a form. Okay, so the ego is encoded with genetic data, essentially, that from the ego is the manifestation of that infinite potential that creates this information. Okay, and it's very interesting, the study of the ego, but essentially we are playing out archetypes. Okay, so archetypes are the overlays that is the self-organizing overlay of information of the matrix into this earth, into the mother earth, that creates the humans that are fractals of the earth, that play out the different roles for source to experience. So this archetypal aspect of ourselves essentially is who you are without all of your matrix programming. Okay, and we have to transcend archetypes now. Okay, so once you dissolve the personality from the influences of your current traumas in your family circles, you then have to overcome the archetypal overlays of yourself, and Overcome, meaning going from the illusion of separation of these archetypal overlays of yourself back into unity again. So it's another layer, okay? And to give you an idea of what these archetypal aspects can be, for example, your astrological sign and the influence that those astrological signs have on who you are, okay? And again, this goes into the subconscious programming that goes down your ancestral lineages, okay? But as a soul, why have you chosen this specific ancestral lineage to experience? Okay, that resonance is based on all of the actions, the cause and effect of your simultaneous lifetimes, parallel lifetimes that you're experiencing at this time. They are all affecting the other. And they are intersecting. They intersect, which is why we have deja vus, which is why we have these experiences of, oh, I feel like I know this person before. I feel like I've been here before. These are the intersections of yourself, of information, holographic information, becoming aware of itself in more than one simultaneous timeline. And essentially, it's important to pay attention to the kind of role that you're playing in that moment. Okay, what's the invitation to be healed here? How am I separate in this moment? How is my perception separate? How can I reunify it? So these archetypal overlays are what we are transcending, and we're transcending them throughout our entire life. There's 13 main archetypes, okay? 13 main chakras, 13 dimensional layers to us. And each one of those 13 archetypal aspects are essentially influencing, we also as a soul, we are cycling through these archetypes. So in one lifetime, your theme was to be a warrior. In the next lifetime, your theme was to be a monk. In the next lifetime, your theme was to be the jester. Okay. Each one of those archetypal overlays is influencing the vibrational frequency that you have cultivated in any one of these simultaneous lifetimes. They affect your next lifetime, where you're going to go at the time of death. The way that you die will define the vibrational frequency by resonance, takes you to the next potential conscious experience that you're having. Okay, and so we are learning how to reunify ourselves as this. When you begin to understand the archetype that you're playing out in this lifetime, and you could be fluctuating through many different archetypes in your lifetime, right? Once you begin to transcend that, our entire life has different phases of archetypes as well. Okay, it's as if we are the entire zodiac sign. If you were to utilize the zodiac sign as an example of these archetypal energies, all you're looking at is the rainbow and its different ranges of frequencies. You're all of them, right? You are the unified source. You are the monk, and you're also the warrior, or whatever archetypal example you want to use. You are all of them. And within your day, you also play out different roles of yourself. What you want to understand is, how do you go from separation into unity? And what you're going to discover is that after looking at all those layers, you are all and nothing simultaneously. The one that actually exists is the one that wakes up consciousness beyond the physical illusion to see itself as pure life force. You are pure creative life force. It has no form. Okay, it has no definition. It is the infinite potential. That's who you are. That is the embodiment of unconditional love. The process of integrating all these fractal aspects of yourself is the programming it's the deprogramming of programs into that all and nothingness. So what essentially happens is that as you transcend these layers of yourself, you now begin to see yourself as all and nothing. And the key to this process is non-judgment in a state in which you don't judge anymore the negative. This is the hardest part, okay? Because again, as I gave you the example of the father, the abusive father being a product of unworthiness, okay? We are also that same unworthiness, for example, playing that out. So unless you heal that, you're going to keep attracting, by the way, a father, the same abuse in a relationship, right? And you could be the best person by moral codes or ethical codes, religious concepts. You could be the most ethical and wonderful person. And people wonder, God, why is my life so full of suffering all the time? They don't realize the amount of power of creation that you participate in creating these experiences. It's all you. It's all you. So when you begin to realize that, something powerful happens. Something called compassion. Compassion begins to emerge. And it is through the compassion that is the access and gateway to unconditional love. Without compassion, you don't know unconditional love. There's no way. Without seeing your shadow, without holding space for your negative, darkest parts of you, to understand that everything is cause and effect. Every single organism in this planet is a product of something else. Again, remember the law of free will. We are deeply interconnected and we are deeply a product of one another. Okay? And the process of being a product of one another essentially helps us understand that until that organism comes into consciousness, it's at the mercy of the actions of its environment. It's at the mercy of the actions of its subconscious belief systems, which it's not aware of. The question is, when are you going to become aware of them? At what point do you become conscious in order to become the master of your body and the experiences that you're having? And that is the process of unconditional love. Because what happens is the human that becomes aware that they are a product of programming now begins to understand how much suffering the embodiment of those programs causes on their body, on their selves. And they begin to embody a level of compassion that allows them to change. Okay, so the embodiment of the change of that, and let me hold on a second, because all of you that are on wonderful Conscious Awakening Network, by the way, guys, if you want to check me out on Conscious Awakening Network, I want you guys to download the app and you guys can see us on all kinds of platforms streaming. So right now this is being streamed on YouTube, it's being streamed on Amazon TV, it's being streamed on hold on. Oh, here it is. It's being streamed on Hulu, on Roku, on Fire TV, on Player FM. It's on Spotify, it's on Samsung Music. You can also find it on Pandora. So we're everywhere. Okay, Apple TV, Android. Definitely check out Conscious Awakening Network, and you can tune into some amazing speakers. Okay, so those of you that are on that network, my time is done here with you. If you want to join me for the meditation, come and find me on YouTube at Geraldine Orozco. Geraldine Orozco. So that's youtube.com/Geraldine Orozco, as it's written here in the bottom corner. Okay, it was an honor and a pleasure to work with you, and I can't wait to see you next week. Okay, thank you for joining us. Bye. Okay, for those of you that are here with me on this channel now, we are going to continue this into the practice of the embodiment of unconditional love. Okay. And so what does that look like exactly? So we talked about the psychological subconscious programs that lead us into the embodiment of unconditional love. So let's talk about the archetypal. What does this look like now? Okay. So you're doing your shadow work, you're regulating your nervous system. Okay. Now you're facing your personal traumas. And from there, you begin to see the connection of ancestral traumas. You begin to notice that you're playing out the same roles as mom and dad, right? And you begin to heal that. This will take you into understanding the how you are unified, how you are one. So the embodiment of unconditional love is the process of reunification of yourself with all humanity. Let me show you how, right? Once you understand your program is brought down to you by parents, you begin to see their program is brought down by grandma and grandpa, great grandma and great grandpa. And let me tell you, in meditation, when you're doing this work, by simply following the emotions, by tuning in, this is why training your intuition is paramount to this work. With your intuition in your 0 point, you begin to have access to the collective data memory that is stored within the hologram. Your holographic DNA, which is connected to the DNA of the earth, tunes into the Akashic records. Your ancestral lineage memory is in the Akashic records. Your ancestral memory is encoded within the cells of your body. And in order to access that, you have to access and activate your intuition. What will happen in meditation, the more you train yourself to come into 0 point, is that you will be able to see grandma and grandpa, great grandma and great great grandpa as roles. It is amazing. When I did this practice, I began to see the parents of my grandfather, which I never met. I began to see how they played out the roles of their experience. And some of those can maybe triggered by memories of stories that you have heard in your family. You cannot ignore any of the information provided to you. Why? Because nothing happens by random chance. Every information that you receive is important to you in the practicing of your discernment. So if mom and dad told you something specific about your grandparents, there's a reason for that. And you have to utilize your intuition by connecting with your emotions and doing that shadow work in order to access the truth of the information that was shared with you. That's why you have it. It's not just random. Remember, this universe is co-creating with you, okay? So if you come to that point and you're like, wait a minute, that's just something my mom told me one time. I don't know if that's true. Well, this is where your intuition has to come into play. And your intuition is infused by your profound integration and healing of the imbalanced perceptions of feminine and masculine emotional traumas of your mother and your father. Let me give you a quick example. Let's take the example of the abusive father. The abusive father, your father, had the program of abuse and violence as a result of profound feelings of unworthiness. Okay? What happened? His father, let's say, was an alcoholic. He became an alcoholic because of profound feelings of unworthiness. Your father became violent because of the anger that his father was an alcoholic. Never there, never available, no love, no protection, all of those basic needs of the human young organism before it understands its source. All these broken expectations, okay? Let's go even further. That father became an alcoholic because his father was abusive to him. Now we start seeing the pattern. Okay? And sometimes there's sexual abuse. You go back to the great-great-grandfather. The great-great-grandfather was a general in the military that was assigned by the queen to go out and take on under the flag of the church to pillage and rape, cities and countries in order to take possession and control of those cities. Did he want to do that? No. But if he didn't do it, he would have been killed. So he had to play out that. He had no recognition of worthiness within his encoded in his DNA. He didn't recognize that yet. So we begin to see the level of evolutionary consciousness through the history of these storylines. And you can access this information. It's in yourself. It's in your DNA. You are holding that because guess what? You were your great-great-grandfather. You were him. You have his cells in your body. You have the memory of that trauma encoded within you. So there's nobody that cannot access that information. All you have to do is train your intuition. And your intuition is the unification of all your senses. Remember, some of you have certain senses more active than others. Use the one that you can access the best. But as you cultivate your body, remember martini glass training, reading state, you're going to begin to open up all your senses through the coherence of the heart. Because the largest magnetic field, being the heart, is the access way into the Akashic record. It's not the intuition and the third eye. That's just the tool. The heart, the coherence, is actually the one that allows you to access and merge with the DNA of the earth. That's why we need to ground to the earth, because we need to come into coherence with the earth in order to access truth through the memory of the earth, through the memory of this ancestral lineages, of the timelines. In order for you to discern and heal yourself, you have to connect with the earth and the memory that is there. And a lot of you are going to start finding cords that connect you to even more ancestors. You're going to see yourself as indigenous aspects of yourself. You're going to see yourself as warriors. You're going to see yourself as these ancient civilizations. And encoded within you is the memory of this world, of this planet Earth. Okay? So that process can be done through DNA reprogramming. The meditation that I teach you how to do, where we're looking at the emotion you had last week, that is the gateway to this information. You have to keep going. Okay? So as you keep going, what's happening? You're seeing yourself as great-great-grandma, great-great-grandpa. You're seeing yourself as Genghis Khan. Okay? Your fractal that is encoded within your DNA of Genghis Khan is within you, and all the traumas and memories that you have experienced through that part of you, that archetype of you. What the other thing you'll recognize, so everything I'm telling you is a product of my own personal healing, but also what I see in my clients. How do I know that we are layered by archetypes and we experience all the archetypes? Because what you'll find as you look at your ancestral history is that each one of those plays an archetype, or you've been cycling through certain archetypes, which defines the vibrational frequency that brings you into resonance into that ancestral lineage, which tells you a lot about your purpose and how to reunify yourself in becoming your own source. It is the code that allows you to understand how to reunify with source. So the embodiment of becoming one is recognizing yourself as the all. And the reason why it's imperative that you start in your family, because you're not going to be able to understand yourself as deeply as when you look at your own family. In your own family is all of the archetypes you're ever going to access in your life. Okay? And because, let me tell you why that's a fact. Because within your DNA is what created and designed the life that you're living at the highest level. It was the intentional vibrational frequency seated in your body that took you to Africa, to be born in Africa, in the family that you were born in the environment, city, society, economical state, religious influence that you have in order to experience, that is a product of all of the cause and effects of your ancestors. Okay, so you are a product. It's so deeply, the beautiful thing about it is that there is an organization to this. There is an order. And when there is an order, there is a way to, there's a disorder and there's a way to come back into order, right? So all of this information comes into disorganization until it reunifies within you. So becoming one means understanding compassion by understanding that all is a cause and effect. That's where compassion emerges. You understand that every single human is a product of their environment until they become conscious that they have a choice to choose. Nothing more. Therefore, the expectations that we have as the infant being born in this timeline, we can't really have those expectations. And you're going to have the expectations because that's the matrix is designed. You come into this world as fragile innocence, as innocence. It is the demonstration of the fractal of the source. You were already complete at the time of your birth. You were whole. You were not missing anything. You became fractalized until the age of 7. So, in other words, you were always the absolute. And all you are doing is deprogramming this life so that you can rediscover that you are the absolute. You are source. You are the provider of all of your needs and requirements, and you are the infinite potential in this concept of unity. Okay? Excellent. So let's take a couple questions, and then I'm going to jump into our meditation, guys. Thank you so much. I'm going to stop a share for just a second here. Let me pin myself. Hello, beautiful people that have joined me on the Zoom. So wonderful to see you guys. We have a question. Veronica, how are you? My mom started doing shadow work and she started remembering and realizing some things about her parent and my childhood. It's pretty interesting. Exactly. It is so fascinating to see this information, because what happens is that a lot of times we perceive our lives as such survival, and we have such profound beliefs that we have been victims of the suffering of our parents. But what this work helps you do, it helps you move outside of the belief of victimization. Okay, it's very important. Remember the creator states, and this is why I'm sharing this information with you, because you won't be able to access unity consciousness unless you do this work. And trust me, you will find this information, and when it comes up, you have to know what to do with it. Okay, so in this creator state in which we are separate, remember, we are learning how to come back into unity consciousness. Every single one of these levels you're going to experience in your healing process over and over again. That's another thing that I want to make very clear, that the process of embodying unconditional love, it's never ending. Okay? So each level that you access of unconditional love, you're going to have to learn the same lessons, but softer in these dimensional layers. More subtle is what I mean, not softer. The experience can be really powerful and really strong, and it's a broader. Okay, so let me tell you the next layer. For those of you that have already done family shadow work, already done integration of your families, you're going to start healing the collective. As I mentioned, through the family ancestral, right? The collective is at the other end of your ancestral lineage, because we're one. Okay, so as you begin to heal the collective, that's why those people that in the spiritual community sometimes say, "Oh, we're gonna heal the collective. We're gonna do some energy healing, putting intention into the ancestral lineages." You know, you're not really doing much. You know, you're putting an intention to heal something, but the true healing is by doing this shadow work. You want to heal the world, you have to do the shadow work. That's the only real way to create healing, because even when you anchor source light, remember, because of your resonance, you can only anchor as much source intention as you're able to carry inside of the architecture of your body. If your body is in a state of separation, look at how little your source cord is. You're not going to be able to anchor massive amounts of healing energy into some group healing. Collectively, you might all come into resonance, and the source cord might broaden a little bit because of the rest of the people. Maybe there's some people that have done work there temporarily, but and this is why activations happen in group settings of healings. You come in resonance with the highest vibration in that room. You begin to remember yourself as source, and you begin to shift the shape of your body, the architecture of your geometry, which is a product of the vibrational frequency of your chakra system. Which one is more active than another? So if your root chakra is wide open, your bleeding life force, the majority of your creation is anchored in the physical realm. You don't have a lot of creation in the non-physical. It's hard for you to see your body. It's hard for you to visualize. It's hard for you to use your intuition, to sense things around you. Okay, so you have to essentially begin to cultivate your intuition and begin to open your heart chakra, control your emotions, your perceptions in the lower chakras, the root, the sacral, the solar. And eventually what ends up happening is that you now expand and cultivate the heart chakra, which is your coherence. Through the cultivation of heart, throat, third eye, you now begin to activate your body, and your source cord becomes really nice and thick. These are people that are channeling information. You are connected to higher self. You are, intuitive, and you are in coherence in your mind, body, and actions. But there's another layer to this. As I was mentioning, it's great that you're this. So let's say you're here. Let's say that you've already brought into coherence some of your trauma that keeps you in survival states. Let's say you come up here into partial unity, still at effect, but less. Remember, cause and effect. You are still at effect of your surroundings, but you're able to access peace and compassion. Okay, so you start being more proactive about your life. You are connecting with one another. You are doing community service. You are caring. You are more peaceful in your life. You're able to access unconditional love. Okay, what happens? The next layer, reflection, communication. It's you begin to see yourself reflected in the all. Okay, and a lot of times people that are in this consciousness state, in this state of consciousness, are ones that are oftentimes reciting decrees, postulates, like, for example, what are these affirmations? You are solidifying your understanding as this source, but you haven't really integrated it into the body. Okay, so that's why it's great to do affirmations, but it's even greater to do the shadow work and understand yourself as that. That's a whole different thing. That's a whole different geometry in your body. That's a whole different vortex spin rate. It's a different process when you leave your body every night. Okay, so you start to work with energy, for example, with light. So this is a person that could probably anchor more life force in for healing. You now become a master, a manifester. Okay, you can speak, communicate your understanding. healers, right? Now, the next level is awareness, right? You have mastered the level of awareness. You are aware of yourself. You're aware of the all. Your God is truth. You seek truth. These are the seekers, those that are seeking. But not all seekers have done all the integration work down here. Okay, so you have to do this integration work in order to embody this awareness state. Okay, and I'm telling you, you know, the ultimate process, because you're going to fluctuate through all of these different aspects of yourself throughout your day, throughout your month, throughout your year. You're going to be all of these. Okay, so I'm not saying you're not, you're definitely not any of these if you don't do the work. You're going to fluctuate through all of them, but to embody, to become source, you have to embody all of these states. You have to master them. Okay, so this is the person that has more clarity, because you've mastered your discernment, because you understand how to identify truth. You're deeply connected to nature. You're deeply connected to the earth. That's what I mean by being connected to nature. Means that you're in resonance with Mother Earth, aware of accessing your DNA, your collective DNA, and the whole. Okay, so now you can see things. And when you're at that level, you begin to get downloads of information. When you know your history, you know what's potentially coming. Okay. Now, the next level is creation. So once you understand this level of energy work, you now can master the physical. This is where you start having incredible synchronicities. This is where you start embodying those abilities like Jesus, for example, which was a representation. All of the major prophets and you know, deities, the gods that master the physical realm now, right? So you have miracles, okay? And you become a co-creator. You can, with your intention alone, you can change the feeling of a room. You bring light into that room. Okay, you begin to heal people, things, you begin to change things. You are co-creating symbiotically with the universe. And the next level is a level of pure knowing. Okay, you are in pure consciousness. Keep in mind, there is no separation here. You are one with all. So everything that you see is as love. This is where you can embody and begin to experience those processes of enlightenment and being. So essentially, this embodiment is a powerful, powerful manifestation. And that is the process of unconditional love that you are doing with interdimensional aspects of yourself. Because when you start accessing these layers of a seeker of truth, this is what happened to me. I had ET contact, interdimensional contact. When I started seeking truth beyond the matrix, because the question was, well, who's running things then? If we're a product of all this programming, who gets to decide these little, the amount of suffering that societies get? Who gets to run the TV stations, the financial institutions, the pharmaceutical industries? Who's running those things then, right? You begin to question. So what I discovered was the interdimensional element, which takes you into the history of the earth, the history of our hybridization, who we are, where we originate from. We are, and I'm not talking about the biology of the hybridization, but from the spiritual level, you are a fractal of the all. Your brothers and sisters in the cosmic realm, in the intergalactic layers of these dimensional expressions, are fractals of your own self, your Arcturian part, your Pleiadian aspect, your gray aspect. So now you have to embody unconditional love with those layers of yourself. And this is where many people get stuck, because they become identified with these fractals of themselves as they are in the process of becoming whole. And that's where your death begins, your spiritual death. You can't go beyond that. And let me tell you, once again, you are going back down into these layers at another octave. So this process is infinite. It's infinite. You are going through this process in every single layer. Okay? So every dimensional layer that you activate is a layer of your holographic DNA in which you will experience creator states from the lowest to the highest creator state in every dimension. Okay, it's very important to understand that, because when you are here meeting the gray part of you, for example, you want to go into separation. You want nothing to do with that gray part of you. On top of it, you have the influence of, again, programming by other people's experiences of grays, and you adopt that as your own. That's just as much programming as you got of unworthiness from Father. And guess what? The resonance of all of the shadow work that is unresolved within you will make you in alignment with the kind of interdimensional fractals of yourself, will give you access to the different dimensional levels of yourself that you can access. So again, I tell you, work on your chakra system. Learn to master your chakras, which means learn to master your emotions, which means master your perception, which equates to the 0 point. Because when you embody the 0 point, all of these fractals of yourself, you then understand that they are a part of you. You no longer see things in separation, from which compassion emerges. And that compassion unifies you. Genetically, your DNA is activated. It neutralizes the negativity, the potential shadow that is hidden within that dimensional layer for your ascensional evolution. And again, layer over layer, we become one over and over again. That's essentially what unconditional love, the journey of unconditional love looks like. The love you withhold is the suffering you carry lifetime to lifetime. Hybridization program. You are in survival. You were an ET that was in survival. You need to create another human hybrid. You create another human hybrid. More entanglement ensues. Remember, I talked to you about how it is to create a life in this world and the repercussions of creating life in this world. You want to inherit your suffering, or you inheriting enlightenment, and you're anchoring source through this organism. So your level of consciousness is important in all dimensional layers. More of your activity is done in dream state. So you must master the physical in order to master the dream states in which you are reunifying yourself again. This is the process of unconditional love. This is the embodiment of unconditional love. From here, in your nucleus of your relationships and your families and all the things that you're experiencing, you can now embody that state of unification with the whole. Okay. All right, so let me come over here to the chat, guys, in YouTube. Welcome, Davis. Thank you so much. David, Brian Davis, thank you. Thank you, Geraldine. I'll see you in Glastonbury. Can't wait to meet you. Thank you for that super chat. Thank you so much, Lars. Maria, thank you for that very generous super chat. Thank you so much. Much love to you. Grandizer, welcome. Doug, thank you for that super chat. So generous, Doug. Much love for being here. Thank you. Jason, thank you for that super chat. It was so great to see you. I hope to see you again. And actually, we have work to do. Mark Hudson, welcome. Thank you for that very generous super chat. Thank you for this wisdom. Thank you for being here. And the work that you guys are doing, that's what makes me excited, that you're going to take this work and embody it. Grandizer, I hear Geraldine Orozco speak in the song She is a Rainbow by Rolling Stone comes to mind. Cool, I don't know that song. I'm going to look it up. Angie, thank you so much for being here. Let me see if I can answer some questions. Do we have any questions? Is it on Netflix? No, it's not on Netflix. It's not on Netflix. It's just on streaming stations, which I think Netflix is, right? But it's on streaming platforms, Conscious Awakening Network. You're going to find it on Amazon, Hulu, just go to consciousawakeningnetwork.com. You're going to find all the information there, how to find it, if you want to find some more stuff. Brian LT says, Geraldine, you once mentioned that we cannot cut energetic cords. Can you expand on that, please? Well, it was exactly what I was mentioning about the fact that we are one and that there is no separation. All that exists as a potential is neutralization, alchemization, okay? All that we are doing when we are cutting cords is you are neutralizing the subconscious intention, vibrational resonance that brings you and this other into experience. Okay, so we are brought into experience by our resonance. And if you want to cut cords, you have to change your resonance. That individual still exists connected to you because we are all connected as one. So the way that we look like is kind of like this beautiful organism that has all these little cords connecting to everything. Okay? So essentially that interconnection of cord, all we're doing is neutralizing. It's as simple as that. So as we shift our vibrational frequency, remember that everything is cause and effect. So if you are in effect of your environment, you are entangling yourself further with your environment over and over again. But it's not all lost. The moment you wake up consciousness again, you can decide your frequency, your resonance, how you are behaving as a result of the experience around you. Okay? And therefore, these cords become neutralized. So the amazing thing about this is that essentially, as we become one, we begin to have compassion, heal, neutralize. And the thing is, though, I want to mention that because the way this universe functions in cycles, remember that, let's say you cut a cord with someone, if you haven't learned the lesson of that resonance, when you go into another dimensional layer or another experience or even another country, and you relive that same resonance, you will find the same individual that you cut cords with right there. Okay, that's why. In other words, we are not cutting cords with people, the personalities of people. We are learning to neutralize fractals of ourselves that are mirrored within the environment. Because everyone is a mirror of yourself, essentially. Okay, that is a thing that we got to understand. All right, Grandizer, concentrate your curiosity to press that like button for a quick second. Yeah, thank you so much, Lars. Definitely share, subscribe if you find value in this video. It's really great to share with you. Hello from Ireland, James, welcome. I feel that I am a victim of the modern age. Well, yeah, we just have to remember we're never a victim of anything. That is the most important thing. And I talked about free will. We are an interconnected system, and we only have free will when we choose. Okay? Ayla Kata says, does symbology have any effect to seeing what's coming? So symbology, as in language, as in vibrational frequency, is a tool for translation. And it also depends on the meaning that we apply these things. It's kind of like we manifest the symbol into our lives based on the communication that our higher self sometimes wants to have with us. Okay, so there's different levels of intuition. If your intuition is blocked, you're not going to be seeing the symbolisms and the communications that the environment has around for you all the time. Your environment is communicating with you all the time. When you're closed off to yourself, inside of you and outside of you, you can't see those things. So you're always going to be blindsided by, again, the law of accident. Okay? But when you wake up and you begin to become one harmony with your environment, you're no longer in resistance to yourself and the environment, you're going to have communications with your environment. And you're going to understand the law that there is no coincidence. Okay. And so once you experience that, symbols will have a more meaningful and co-communicative, co-creative effect on your life. So symbols can mean something for you, and they can give you messages. For example, in my experience, the hawk is incredibly meaningful. I have a profound connection with the hawk many lifetimes. And whenever the hawk appears, I know exactly what that means for me. It is a message. It is a symbol that is encoding something important for me to understand. And many of you see sequential numbers, 111, 222, 333. Every single number is a meaning. It has a vibrational frequency. We have to learn that language. The numbers are the language of the universe. And when we learn how to read those numbers, they're guidance for us. It is our higher self talking to us, because we exist simultaneously in many dimensions, but you have to open yourself up to harmony with your surrounding in order to have access to that symbiotic communication. So 222 is the alchemical marriage. Okay, are you at war internally with yourself? Are you in a partnership and you need to come into harmony and balance in that moment? Are you with your coworker and you are feeling separate from yourself in the whole? What do you need to do to integrate that, to embody the alchemical marriage within you in that moment? Harmonious balance between feminine and masculine, regulated nervous system, clear filter perceptions, okay? Immediate information for you right there that can hopefully bring you back into your 0 point, into your grounding, so that you can then choose what you're doing, okay? Every number has a meaning. So thank you for that. Teresa, thank you so much for that super chat. So generous of you. Thank you for being here. And thank you so much for that super chat, Lee. Love you, Lee. Thank you so much. Love you both so much. 91 wonderful viewers watching. Yeah, 66, like, thank you so much. Question. So when low density or stagnant feelings or experiences happen, which causes separation, is the best thing to do move into a place of compassion and balance through the chakra clearing? Okay, when low density or stagnant feelings or experiences happen, which cause separation, actually, it's the other way around. Separation causes low frequency emotions and experiences that help you experience separation. So subconsciously, if you believe in separation, you will have an experience that highlights that lets you experience that. Okay. And separation is always it's challenging for the human, because innately we are not separation. That's the thing. That's why human experiences suffering. It innately is source, encoded in every cell of your body. It is just the mind, the filters of perceptions that create the illusion. That's why we say it's an illusion of separation, because you are source, you are unity already. So the process of experiencing experiences that trigger feelings of separation, that's why you have to call yourself out. Okay, what did I do that embodied separation that led me into this experience, that led me to experience this? Because you create your life. Again, you are not a victim of anything outside of you. Everything outside of you is a reflection of what you have inside of you, of what you're running in this, of what you believe, essentially. Okay? So essentially, the best thing to do is to find the subconscious beliefs of separation within you and unify them. Okay? You have a car accident. causes you major financial struggle. You look back, you have a strong belief of lack. You have a strong belief of helplessness. You have a strong belief that you are unsafe. You are in a constant state of protecting yourself. The car accident is a manifestation of all those beliefs. It allows you to feel helpless. It allows you to feel like you're not going to have money. It allows you to feel that you're powerless to these powers around you that are just creating these accidents in your life. What happens, this is why people that are in alignment with themselves, they never get sick, okay? They embody a harmonious life, okay? But please do not take that and then go embody a fake harmony, a fake peace. It cannot be done. It is an inside job. It has to be from the inside. And actually, that harmony is a product of 0 point. Okay? That joy is a product, it's an emanation of 0 point, where because you are in harmonious balance inside, when you go to a beautiful place to see a sunset, you are having an orgasmic unification of source, where all of the material dissolves into pure potential of creation. You are in love with yourself and with the all. And it's not about pleasant things. You can be walking down in downtown LA, and yet you are in love. You are in love with yourself, and you are in love with the whole. I was just talking about that this morning, about how Rumi, remember Rumi talks about being in love with the beloved. And all of his poetry, if you go check out his poetry, is about love. You think he's talking about a woman, but actually it's the alchemical marriage of himself with the source. Okay, so I invite you to check that out, just as a little reminder. But essentially, it is in inside. Okay. How often do we meditate to come into the 0 point? The 0 point is the cultivation of neutrality in every moment of your day. It's not about, here's the thing. Meditation should be like taking a shower. You take a shower every day, okay? Or you wash your hands every day. You brush your teeth every day. You have to, right? So meditation is part of your energetic hygiene because you're source. And you have to always reconnect yourself. Your awareness, you have to, it's not a reconnection. You have to remember that you are source. So in order to remind yourself that you are source, meditation is the tool that allows you to do that. Okay? That's all we're doing in meditation. And the reminder of source has a geometric, bioelectrical, biochemical side effect in the physical body that happens. I'm just explaining you and breaking down the processes of how to embody that. But those of you that meditate into the embodiment of source and unconditional love, you become the love that is now in love with the beloved. Your body automatically shifts into all these wonderful things I'm telling you about. Okay. So essentially, we meditate every moment of the day. And then therefore you embody the 0 point. Okay. Meditation is observation, neutral observation. When you're in meditation, you observe your emotions and you get truth, you get informations. Okay. And that's what meditation is for, essentially, is to understand yourself. You learn, you get to know yourself, right? And you learn how to regulate your nervous system by the rebalancing of your perceptions of the things that you're discovering of yourself. From an imbalanced state of judgment into a balanced state of perception. And that rebalancing of your perception of all the parts of yourself that you are learning of, that you're knowing, is the reunification of yourself back into unity. Again, you remember yourself as source. That is essentially what we are learning to embody. And the 0 point is the constant state of non-judgment. Okay. Okay, let me see. Amazing questions. I love your questions so much, you guys. And I think everyone has those questions as well. So thank you so much for that. Doug says, a very large hawk was on our hiking path just in front of us. I had a massive presence with towering wisdom, just beautiful. Yes, that's a massive, massive thing. And every human has different communications with the animal kingdom. That's another video for another time. Okay. Okay, guys, let's get into the meditation. Okay. All right. Let's start by coming into a state of calm, breathing deeply. Sorry, this video is getting really long, my loves, but I definitely want to share this with you. Okay. So go ahead and allow yourself to come into a state of complete relaxation and calm. Breathing. With every breath you take, allowing yourself to come into a state of complete relaxation, complete calm. Okay, allow yourself to come into absolute stillness. Breathing. And in that beautiful, delicious stillness, okay, we're going to begin to visualize the sphere around the body. Go ahead and visualize shrinking your first chakra down to the size of a dime. Breathing. Sacral, shrink it down to the size of a dime. Solar, shrinking it down to the size of a dime. Go ahead and expand your heart, opening the center of unconditional love. Go up into the throat. Expanding the center of communication and expression. Go up into the third eye, expanding your third eye. Breathing. Okay, you're going to go up into your crown. Go ahead and activate your crown, 7th and 8th. All right. Okay. Go ahead and visualize from the center of the earth, a powerful wave of green life force energy come rushing up, creating a vortex of energy. Fill your body with this vortex of energy. As you begin to align your body with the resonance of earth, you come in resonance with earth, come into coherence with the vibrational frequency of this planet, your mother, the greater mother. Okay. Go ahead and from the universe, from source, bring down a powerful wave of gold cosmic energy, comes down through the crown of your head, combining with the green earth energy. Breathing. Okay. Go ahead, take 10% of that, send it back down to the center of the earth. You're going to take 80% of that, shooting up your spine and from the crown of your head, creating a fountain coating the outside of your sphere. Okay, go ahead and call back your life force. This is why I tell you to call back your life force means you're become aware of where your energy is going unconsciously, right? Bring it back into the body. Helps you gain awareness on where you are bleeding life force unconsciously, where you have become entangled. Take that final 10% green and gold energy, bring it into the body now, into the pores, into the flesh, into the muscles, the bones, down to the cellular level of the body, transmuting any darkness into white light. So now that we're here, I want you to begin to observe yourself over the past 24 hours. Okay? So we're going to begin to observe now. As you begin to observe yourself over the past 24 hours, how have you been withholding love, either for yourself or others in the past 24 hours? Take a look at that. Notice how the body starts to adjust as you start noticing. And what I want you to notice is immediately notice that if you would give love in the direction of the places that you are withholding love, How does your body change? Does the tightness of muscles relax? Do you go from a nervous state into a calm state? Are you releasing heavy emotions? You're going to notice that in the areas of resisting love, there's a lot of suffering for you. Okay. So just for a moment, consider eliminating that resistance. You're safe here, right? You're not interacting with the other person, place, or thing. You are here in a safe place, observing what would it look like if you were to release that resistance. So walk yourself through it, explore it, become very curious to see how you behave when you release that resistance. Watch yourself. So now that you have identified this, I want you to notice your resistance. Go ahead and bring that resistance back into the body. I want you to tune into that resistance in your body. Notice that your sensations of your body, like tightness in the belly or tightness in the chest, tightness in the throat, tightness in the back, just check what part of your body tenses up when you go back to that state of resistance for a moment. Okay, so in that is encoded memories and information. Okay, so as you are absolutely present with this resistance, I want you to start naming out the emotions that start coming up. And I want you to describe all of the discomfort of your physical body as a result of that resistance as emotions. So let's say in your body, there is this tightness. Okay, describe that tightness. Let me give you an example. It is this feeling of contraction. Okay, it feels contracted, it feels controlled. It feels fearful. Okay, there's controlling, fearful. It feels anxious. It feels limited. Okay, so start working with those emotions that came up. You explore in your body how those sensations make you feel, right? So if that tightness was an emotion, what emotion would it be? Go ahead and describe that. Allow yourself to observe those heavy emotions there. Okay. So right now you're identifying why you are in resistance. Okay. So go ahead and see from those four emotions, which one is the strongest? Let's say it's control. Okay. So go ahead and embody that state of control or whatever emotion is coming up for you. Observe the emotion. Notice how your body tightens up. Notice the contractions of muscles. And as you observe this emotion in your body, again, describe the discomfort as emotions. Allow those layers to begin to surface. Breathing deeply. Okay, always remembering to breathe, keeping your first three chakras closed and your top three open so that you don't get stuck in the feeling body, but maintain yourself a neutral observer. Right now, you are just excavating your subconscious mind. You are discovering and you are researching yourself. Why is it that we hold this resistance? Okay, so as you uncover that, you're going to learn a lot about yourself. Breathing. Go ahead and allow yourself to sit for this for a moment with these emotions and access the strongest one. As you observe this emotion, okay, as you observe this thought, this program, okay, begin to observe the effect of this state on all of your relationships and experiences over the past week. So this subconscious belief is what's running all of those experiences. It makes you behave in certain ways. It makes you change your ability to manifest. It creates the architecture, the biochemical structure of your body into a different state. Okay, lots of repercussions here as a result of our program and our belief. So just observe it for a moment. Breathing deeply. So as you begin to identify this program, this root program that begins to rise, begin to observe, what do you need from yourself in order to transmute this separation? How is this program the embodiment of separation? How can you reunify from this separation? Bring yourself into unity within yourself. What do you need? You might notice that you discover that you might have to change the way you feel about emotions. You might have to change the way you feel about the way you judge this experience. Your perception of the experience might have to change, right? Your actions might have to change. Notice that. Okay. Very good. So allow yourself to see the impact of these beliefs in other areas of your life. What is it that you need in order to embody compassion and unconditional love towards yourself? As you begin to acknowledge the compassion that you need towards yourself in order to be able to make these changes, go ahead and visualize a color that represents this solution, this healing for yourself. And allow these parts of you to begin to become infused with this color. If you discover what you need is love, allow your body to be filled with the color that represents love for you. Breathing. Very good. So as you heal all these parts of you, as you begin to embody, clearing out all of the shadow parts of you in states of judgment towards yourself. I want you to see all the fractals of yourself from the womb until now that have embodied profound suffering, believing the illusion of separation, in a state of judgment. We are going to fill these fractals with compassion, showing them another way. All the programs of martyrdom, victimization, helplessness, hopelessness, as we remind them that they are source. So allow all of your fractals to begin to remember that they are source. No longer seeing the body as a body, more as a light, as a source of life force, of creation. Very good. Allowing yourself to come into a state of complete connection with yourself. I want you to see all of your fractals merging into one. Go ahead and see them merging into one self. Notice how there is more room for expansion, expression, creation. Notice how we come back to a childlike state of innocence. Remember, when you are born, you are complete, you are whole. So we are coming back to this state of innocence. And when we are innocent from out of states of judgment, when you're a child, you don't judge, you just explore, you experience, and you take everything as an experience, right? It isn't until someone tells us we need to fear something that we start to question and begin to fear it. So we are becoming back to that childlike innocence of unification. This is where we embody this purity, in a sense, of our expression, of our authenticity. You become a pure form of expression. And the more we come back to this state, the more powerful your creation will be, the more fun, joyful, harmonious, the less we take things as seriously, right? And the more we flow through life in a state of co-creation. So I want you to see yourself in this state, this innocent state of childlike joy and harmony, as you begin to allow yourself completely to connect with yourself. Allow yourself to make your organs smile. Okay, we're going to make the body smile. So go ahead and envision the smile, the stomach smiling. It's very happy. I want you to feel it in this organ of the stomach literally coming into joy, because it's going to heal your body. Okay, you're shifting the vibrational frequency of your organs. You're going to go up to the spleen, make it smile. Your pancreas, your liver, okay, your large intestines, small intestines, okay, going up into the heart, make your heart smile, make your lungs smile, your kidneys smile, go down to your sexual organs, bring love, pure innocence. Watch your emotions. Many of you connect with sexual organs and you start to infuse some belief systems in those areas of your body. You have to be very careful with that, because it's an intention that you're infusing in your body. So infuse purity, health, love, acceptance, joy, okay? Into your thighs, into your knees. You will immediately start to feel better. Into your legs, into your feet, your chest, your back, your arms, your neck, your head, your face. Bring the entire body into a smile. Breathing deeply. Excellent. Beautiful work. So I want you to go back to the root chakra. Go ahead and open the root back up. I want you to release all the programs that don't allow you to love in your root chakra, to love unconditionally yourself and others. Eliminate that out of the body. Go up into the sacral. Go ahead and open and release all the programs in the sacral chakra that don't allow you to embody unconditional love in your relationships, your exchanges. Go up into your solar plexus. I want you to release all the programs in the solar plexus that don't allow you to embody unconditional love with your empowerment, with your state of who you are, your expression in this world. Go up into the heart now. I want you to clear all the programs and blockages in the heart that do not allow you to love yourself unconditionally. Go up into the throat, release all the programs of communication, expression, of the harmony between the feminine and masculine energies that we still hold that cannot love unconditionally. Take them out. Clear them out, neutralize them, release all these false programs that no longer are in alignment with you. Okay, go up into your third eye now. Go ahead and release all of the programs that don't allow us to love unconditionally with our intuition. The things that we're going to see, the things that we're not going to see, things that we feel, that we sense, that we know. Any filter of perception that hinders us from seeing truth as it is, unconditionally. Hold space for it. Okay, go ahead and clear all of those fears out. Go up into the 7th and the 8th. Go ahead and clear out all the programs in the 7th and the 8th that don't allow us to create, to manifest in a state of unconditional love. Excellent. Go ahead and access your crown here. I want you to shine your crown chakra on top of a room full of karmic contracts and eliminate those contracts completely. Clear them out. Breathing deeply. Breathing deeply. Very good. Okay. Go ahead and fill that room with your crown color. You're going to activate the 9th, activate the 10th, activate the 11th, activate the 12th, activate the 13th, the 14th, the 15th, the 16th, 17th, 18th, 19th, 20th, 21, 22, 23, and 24. And above you is a powerful white light of source. Go ahead and anchor that white light into your body, into your heart, through the perineum, down into the center of the earth. Go ahead and see the pillar of white light in your solar plexus, going out through the front of your body, out through the back. Expand your light around your body. Breathing deeply. Excellent. Beautiful work. Go ahead and bring yourself back into the room. Go ahead and open your eyes. Okay. And as you open your eyes, I want you to continue to see your grounding cord, your protection, and your connection to source. Very good. Excellent. I want to welcome you back, guys. Thank you so much for joining me today. What an honor it is to hold space with you. You guys are amazing. Thank you for all the incredible work that you're doing. And once again, I am honored to be of service to you. If you have any questions, if I can assist you in any way, please reach out. You guys can book a DNA reprogramming or hypnotherapy, past life regression, interdimensional integration with me, balancing feminine, masculine energy with me. So just let me know where you're at, and also personal coaching. So I don't have very many spots left for personal coaching, because it's a program that allows you access to me 2 times a month, where we do this deep work. And also you can ask questions, unlimited questions. So if you're interested in that, you can check it out. There are a couple of spots left. I'm not really taking very many more of those. And definitely want to put that out to remind you guys. Okay. All right, guys, have an amazing, thank you, Olga, Janice, Veronica, Ayola, that was here earlier. All my love to you, everybody in the chat on YouTube. I love you. Please share, subscribe, and thank you for all of your support in your presence, in your light, in your soul, and of course your contributions are deeply, deeply, deeply thanked. If you are in the UK, okay, this weekend I will be in the UK. This coming weekend, I will be from the 10th to the 15th in the UK. I'm not taking any in-person sessions there, but I will be speaking at Portal to Ascension at the Glastonbury conference on Saturday, the 12th. So if you guys are in town and you can come check it out, there are also virtual tickets that you can buy and access that. It'd be amazing for you to connect with you there and join us. It's going to be amazing. Neil Gara is a very dear friend, and his community and what he brings to the world is really powerful. So I am just super, super grateful to be a part of that and the amazing work that we're going to be doing in the ley line of the heart chakra of the world. We are going to be doing some energy healing there. Okay. So your presence, your intention is all part of that. Okay. Then on the 17th, I will be in Paris in the Palace of Versailles. The Palace of Versailles. We are getting together for a meetup there. I will be talking about parasitic thought programs and how to embody and transcend them. We're looking at the electrical aspect of that, alchemical transmutation of matrix programming at the profound level. And I will be opening virtual tickets for this. It will be an in-person meetup in the Park of Versailles and open a very powerful place of healing. I really invite you to join us for this, which is August 17th at the Palace of Versailles in Paris. If you guys are in France at that time, join me. I would love to meet you and connect with you there. If not, it will be virtual. Okay. All right, my loves. I love you so much. Tonight, I have virtual sound bath open to all of my international viewers. If you would like to join us for the sound bath tonight, it's at 7 o'clock. I'm going to be live streaming the sound bath. You can register. I'm going to put the link in the chat. If you want to join us for that, let me see, where's that? Here it is. Oh, here it is. Hold on. Let me grab that. It's going to be so much fun, guys. And we will be healing and doing some really nice, profound, vibrational clearing with this work. Okay. So I went ahead and put it in the chat there. And you guys can access the link and register if you want to join me. Teresa, thank you so much for being here. This was one of the best lessons I got in my entire life. Thank you. We must share this lesson. Thank you. My gosh, I am so grateful to you for your recognition, awakening, and work. It's just so beautiful. I'm deeply, deeply feel love for you. I think it can change lives. I certainly hope so. I certainly hope that we all fall in love with ourselves and the universe. Okay. Have an amazing day, and I will see you next week. Actually, I don't know if I'm going to be live from the UK, but I will go live as soon as I can when I arrive in Europe, or I will pre-record a session. So tentative on Self-Love Sundays for the 13th. I might pre-record something and put it up for us, but I may not be live. I'll be available in the chat though. Okay. I love you. Take care. Bye-bye.